the greatest challenge for me, and remember again, this is 2009 and 2010 when I'm looking for a job, not the greatest time to be looking for your new job, or your first, professional full-time job. But it was just finding companies that were willing to take a chance on an international student. How did I separate myself from a whole bunch of people who were looking for jobs, and not just new graduates, but experienced people who had lost their jobs and were, trying to re-enter the workforce? So how do you separate yourself? And I think there's a lot of things. First of all, it's obviously being prepared and knowing, about the company and about the work they do, and doing a lot of research before going into it. And so being able to speak intelligently about it always impresses people. It always impresses me when I interview people. But also being knowledgeable about your own status and what is possible. I think I've alluded to the fact that I took full advantage of the OPT and CPT processes, or authorizations, if you will. And initially, the person who recruited me had never heard of OPT, so I kind of had to be ready to speak about that intelligently. So be really prepared, not just with like what's in the job description, but also how you're going to sell yourself if that question does come up, and how you're going to present this not as like a big hurdle to overcome. How you're going to make it sound as reasonable as possible to them, and so being really prepared with that. It may or may not come up. Again, I recommend don't bring it up until they bring it up. When they bring it up, you have to be honest, but be prepared with an answer that's going to sound really good, and like, okay, if they like you, okay, let's investigate that, because that might work out for us. So present them with that. Being flexible, really important. Like I said in the previous question. Location, company, things like that. Just the more open you are, the more likely you are to find opportunities. Not being afraid to network, and keeping a really positive attitude. Again, so if the question comes up about your immigration status or whether you need work authorization, don't present it as a burden, right? Like say, hey, I am an international student. I will require work authorization, but there's this great program called OPT, where basically we get an extended trial run. It's kind of a win-win. You're able to employ me and try me out without having to, go through the visa sponsorship process. And I get to get that experience, and we're able to see if it's a fit. And so keeping a really positive attitude around it. If you make it sound like a burden, they're going to think it's a burden. Right. So that's something that's how I navigated that process, or how I tried to. Sometimes it was difficult because I did get rejected for positions on the basis of my immigration status, but I was trying to be as positive as possible.